Good day, dear friend. Good day. This is the Friday morning of this thing of ours. I'm so glad you are with us. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and busy efforts and busy engagements to be a part of us and to share this moment with us. We thank you for this. We thank you immensely. And I can't say this enough. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to a lot of other people who care so desperately that we get the word out. All right? Very, very simple. That we get the word out. My friends, please do me a favor and like this video. I know this sounds, I must say this because sometimes we forget, but it really means something. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Please remember we have 263 days until the election. Now we have a lot to discuss today. So get ready. First, what's happening in CNN and why it should matter to you. This is a complete and total implosion. And I've got a lot of info and intel that I can't really say regarding other news platforms that are basically dying on the vine. And it's good news for me for a variety of reasons. Number one. Number two, they're talking about this fellow Navalny. This is a Russian opposition leader found dead or who died apparently in Russian custody. Gonzalo Lira died in custody. Nobody even asked Zelensky, would you tell us why an American citizen died? Nothing. Jeffrey Epstein was murdered in federal custody. Nobody cares about that. But this morning, in one of the most pathetic things you've ever seen, I saw, somebody showed me, Ainsley Earhart, who I'm sure is a fine person, but she's out of her league and out of her. She's a part of this morning troika that I just do not watch with this poor young man who can't pronounce words. This one, who loves our troops and everything. So she says that basically the death of this guy, without knowing anything about him, is the reason why we should support Ukraine or something like that. Meanwhile, again, no mention of Gonzalo Lira, and no mention to this day of why they murdered. I mean, let's face it, Jeffrey Epstein. Come on. It wasn't a suicide. It wasn't. It's ridiculous. Now, next, we're going to be talking about George Soros, who is a genius. George Soros is an absolute genius. He's buying, I don't know how many, the second largest, quote, radio company in the world. And while people revile him and loathe him and hate him and think that he's, just this terrible person, he and the Democrats and the radical left are doing something very good. I have been reading a lot of the famous excerpts from Saul Alinsky and say that it's possible to use them for our cause. Okay. And next, this absolute infantilism, this suck up love fest of Tucker Carlson as this little boy goes shopping in a Russian supermarket. We're in a basket. We're buying bread. Look, there's no, the subway is nice. And, this is, he has no idea the fool he is making out of himself. But that's okay because Americans have no idea the fool he is making out of himself. He looks like a propagandistic puppet. What are you doing? What are you doing? We'll talk about that. Remember in 1979, Mike Wallace sat on the floor with Ayatollah Khomeini and basically said, look, they all say you're a nut. What do you say about that? Now that takes guts. But Americans don't know this because to a lot of people, Tucker's just their boyfriend, or they like him, and they don't understand anything above and beyond that. So we'll talk about this and other issues coming up on the Friday morning version of this thing of ours. Oh, it is so fantastic. Now, let me ask you something. When the next pandemic, epidemic, whatever comes, whenever it's the Mongolian monkeypox, whatever it is, what are you going to do to fight back? Well, let me give you an idea. Well, as if one pandemic wasn't enough, New York City's health commissioner has been waving the white flag. Biden's non-existent border policies are producing contagious diseases not seen in decades. The 2.5 million recorded migrant encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border alone in 2023 represent a new all-time high. And it's getting worse as we actively watch the escalating border standoff between Texas and the federal government. These illegal immigrants come from 160 countries, many, if not most, with terrible healthcare standards. This is driving a resurgence of rare diseases and bringing about new ones. That's where the wellness company's medical emergency kit comes in. This kit contains emergency antibiotics, antivirals, and antiparasitics, 8 life-saving medications, including amoxicillin, Z-Pak, and others that since 2020 weren't even allowed to be talked about. Can you say ivermectin? All of this to keep on hand in case of emergencies, along with a guidebook detailing instructions for safe use. In a time when many Americans say they would avoid a doctor or hospital unless it was a catastrophic situation, the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit provides a solution. The Wellness Company is home to Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Drew Pinsky, and truth-telling doctors who are rooted in their commitment to building a parallel healthcare system and empowering you to take control of your health. Be prepared for the unexpected. Go to twc.health/Lionel and grab your medical emergency kit right now. That's twc.health/Lionel. Use promo code Lionel and save 15% at checkout. Don't wait until it's too late. Take control of your health with the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit. And these kits are only available in the USA. Get ready, folks, because let me tell you something. You and I know there's going to be another problem before us. Some other thing, something that somebody's going to have. And they're going to say, oh, we got 3. I had a friend of mine the other day. He said, oh, I tested positive. Oh, no, I've got COVID. It's, excuse me. Excuse me. You what? I've got COVID. You mean you tested positive for COVID? Well, yeah. Do you have any symptoms? No. Nothing? Nothing. I see. Do a PCR test or something? Well, yeah. So it found either a molecule of what's called COVID. Even though your viral load could have been nothing, you could have been already immune to it. None of that is taken into consideration. It's just that there's this positive, oh, there it is. If I'm immune to the measles, let's say, and you find a measles virus, or some varicella virus somewhere, but it's not going to affect me, you don't say I have chicken pox or measles. This is how people still don't get it. So my friend said, well, I had to stay in until I wasn't contagious. What do you mean you're contagious? You don't know about the viral load. All you have it. Anyway, we haven't learned anything. So that's why you better make sure next time something happens, you've got your stuff ready to go and now. Because, well, you know that routine. Okay, let's start off with this. The theme of today's show is prepare for revolution in the streets. And that doesn't mean violence. But it means there's going to be a big revolution. Let me tell you a couple of things here first. I'm going to break it to you. We have very, very immature people who don't know anything about news or stories or voting or nothing. They don't really know where they're in, but to them, everything is kind of like a who's popular and who's not. Who's our favorite? That kind of thing. They love this stuff. They love this. Who's our favorite? Okay. And people like Tucker. And let me just say something, get this out of the way. In terms of admiration, yes, he did something which was terrific because he dared to talk about subjects which nobody talked about, which is very, very good. That's number one. Number two, he basically veered away from the classic Fox News, format. Number three, he is a hypocrite. He hates Trump. He likes Trump. He was a big shot and a bombast and this elite blue blood kind of throwing his weight around and acting like a big shot as he was texting everybody and whatever it was. I mean, you've got to be kidding. You're really serious. You've got to be kidding me. But it didn't matter. He really wants to be, you got to understand, everybody's like, look, Murrow had his problems. Mike Wallace had his problems. Don Hewitt was a egomaniac. I understand it. This is nothing related to him. But please do me a favor. Get off of this. I love him. Put down the fanboy signs and just calm down for a second. He's good, but it's just that everything is so bereft. Tucker would not have existed 50 years ago in news, because there would have been so many people so much better. We used to have people in news who were PhDs and had, when Ivy League kind of meant something. I mean, really, it was considered to work for the New York Times. Oh my God, at any level. Not anymore. Not anymore. It just doesn't. And the consumer is basically a child who likes him. That's my boyfriend, like Tucker. Okay, fine. But look, he did a couple of things that was interesting. Number one, he was critical because he reminded people that classic prototypical news is dead. Well, let me say this, potentially dead. He told people that there's a new way of dealing with Elon Musk and others who are getting our news here. I'm telling you right now, if you're not on X or Twitter, you're a fool. It's just simply you can get the best stuff. If you watch that Fani Willis stuff, oh, this was so great. You know, Nathan Wade, her boyfriend. I gotta stop. Let me take a time out before I forget. You know when you're listening to somebody and you're not really listening to what they're saying? You're not. Excuse me. I have a flaxseed ground. Flax seeds every day of your life till you die. Ground fresh flaxseed, not pre-ground, not pre-milled, not flaxseed oil, not chia, not hemp. No. Flax seeds. Throw them into your everyday. It's the greatest thing you can do for yourself. You have no earthly idea. More than blueberries and just antioxidants through the roof. Okay. Sometimes people don't listen. So Nathan Wade was saying, did you have a relationship? A relationship with Fani Willis? Would you say professional? And he said, wait a minute, are you asking, did I have sexual intercourse? He opened the door. And for those of you who have ever tried a case, the last thing you ever want is to hear the judge say, you opened the door. We weren't going to talk about that until somebody brought it up. You brought it up. You opened the door. So the judge, the lawyer, they said, okay, you want to talk about, so you're limiting it to sexual intercourse? He goes, no, I did not. And he should have said, let me say this again. And please, Mr. Wade, let me make sure you understand what we're saying here. Are you saying now? This is what he should have done, but he didn't do this. And I know I'm saying, God, excuse me. I know I'm saying this. I'm jumping around, but if you don't know me yet by now, if I think of something better than what I'm saying, I start talking about it. And this is something because you're like, because it's sexual. You can't stand Fani Willis as Kenna. I just can't stand her. I don't know what this is. She's like a Karen type. She has an attitude. I haven't seen anybody act like this. The last time I saw this, they were being arrested on a video at the airport. You know what I mean? Just this obstinacy, this, kind of like the head going, but what is this? Anyway. So her putative lover, Nathan Wade, says, are you asking if I had sexual intercourse with her? No. I wasn't. Stop. Mr. Wade, let me remind you, you are under oath. And you are saying, so that there's no problem, no equivocation, okay. You are saying that you did not have sexual intercourse with Ms. Willis. Just for the record, you mean penile vaginal contact, penetration, intromission, coitus. Is that what you're saying? Under oath. Yes. Are you saying you did not have any other forms of sexual gratification or contact other than this? Oh, nail it down. He opened the door. Normally, you can't get into stuff like that unless you put it into issue. I can't, for example, during court, I can't ask you, You ever been arrested? No. No. Federal rules of evidence, most state of no. You got to ask them. You ever been convicted of a crime? You ever been convicted of a felony? Or a criminal falsity, something involving dishonesty or false statement? That's what you can do. That's the impeachment you can get into. Unless the person says, well, I've never been arrested. Whoa, you open the door. Okay, let's go into that. I couldn't talk about it before, but now we can. You weren't arrested? Well, you were arrested 100 times here. Yeah, but that was different. What do you mean that was different? What do you mean that was different? Well, those were for protesting, causes. Excuse me, you said you weren't arrested. And you're under oath. You lying now or are you lying then? Oh, we go off the races because you open the door. I don't know what they're doing with this, but if you want to see the state, Donald Trump is laughing. Look at these two bombasts that they are having. You cannot believe this. And somebody should have told her, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying. And I want you to listen very, 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 very carefully to what I am saying. And do not misunderstand it, okay? Do not misunderstand it. But let me see if I can explain this to you. Somebody should have said, you are going to represent the future. A lot of racist people are going to look at you and they're going to say, this is what happens when you have a black person take the take positions of authority, that they're not up for it, they're not, that they're this and that. Do not do this. I know it's unfair and I know it's not right and I know it has something to do with it, but please, every time, and this is true, a black woman, a woman, and Hispanic, a Latino, a gay, a trans, anytime somebody takes a position, a Muslim, that is not normally held historically by members of that particular demographic, all eyes are on them. And it's unfair. And I recognize that fact. But she could have realized you are hurting more people because you're acting this. What is this? This is like some kind of, I don't know what this is. This is like that kind of like, pretty soon you're going to hear like a fight break out where she's going to attack it's like at an airport or something. This is like, it kind of turns into Ricky Lake or something. And like, you're a liar. It's like, wait a minute, hold it, stop. This is not the way prosecutors sound. No, 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 no. You might want to do this. This might be your inclination. Same thing goes for Wade. Same thing goes for everybody else. You have to understand something here. And it's unfair, and I know this, but a lot of people are saying, see what happens when you hurt? Even though there are countless white, blue-eyed prosecutors and cops who have been more corrupt or incompetent or whatever it is. Okay, that being said, you've got to watch this absolute idiocy, and Tiffany Henyard is the best. Tiffany Henyard from Dalton, Illinois, I believe. Timothy, are you watching, Tiffany? Oh my God. Dalton, Illinois. A bank said it failed to make a payment worth tens of thousands of dollars, which may result in police cruisers and other public vehicles being repossessed. You can't believe this woman. Tiffany Henyard is the best. Oh, another thing too, before I forget, throw this one in there. They have issued a conservatorship on the part of Brian Wilson, suffering from dementia. Conservatorships, guardianships are so prone to potential, not always, but potential abuse. Look at what they did to Britney Spears. Look what happens. I think Cher's trying to get it for her son. Brian, I just said Brian Wilson today. This is, be careful. Right. It's not his family, but it's like business. You're in charge of the catalog. Oh my God. That's why, if you can possibly do this, listen carefully. One of the things that people do is they love this thing called probate. They leave wills, and those are great. Nothing wrong with that. Try your best to convey as much to people in their lifetime through life estates. For example, to my you own property. You redeed it for me, to me, for my life, with the remainder or whatever going to my daughter upon my death. It's like it just bypasses probate. I'm not giving you advice. Talk to a financial accountant, but try to do everything as set up trusts ahead of time. Don't let these bad things happen where you let the courts come in and say, okay, now you're going to be no. Anyway, you have no idea the confiscatory horrors, the modern day slavery that people have suggested. There's a wonderful book I'm going to be interviewing her by a dear friend of mine, but a great woman named Diane Diamond. And go to and read this. It is one of the best. I'm going to put her. She was on hard copy years ago. This is one of the best. Core TV. I've known her for years. It says we're here to help when guardianship goes wrong, and let me give you her website. This is fantastic. Okay, so anyway, enough with that. So watch that Fanny. That kind of. Oh my God. You can see where it gets. There's a certain. You know it, and I know it, friends. I'm sorry. In all of our endeavors, there are certain ethnicities and demographics that are known to express anger differently. If you can get a Latino or somebody who you want to hit a trigger point, an African American, maybe an Italian American, somebody from Staten Island, Williamsburg, you say the wrong thing, and there's going to be a reversion to a particular mindset that they are used to, that they were grown up with. That's just you just fall into this default. If I'm writing something and I'm thinking of somebody insulting somebody else, I think of what somebody from Staten Island would be saying, or somebody from the South Bronx. I don't think of somebody from Calabasas, California. No. There's something about the way when somebody says, hey, let me tell you something. You come here again, versus, let me tell you something. If I ever find you, it's a different story, it's a different mindset. So if there are people, I would do everything in my power to go after this Fani Willis and hit could you see the way she's blinking? She's like saying, I'm not on trial. Oh, really? Oh, I would just, and I wouldn't have to say much. You have someone, would you like to take a break? I see you're getting upset. I'm not getting upset. You got to get that head thing, So, okay, all right, here we go. And then get somebody who's really, and I'm going to say this to you. Please don't take it the wrong way. 2 women going at each other versus 2 men, different story. I'm sorry. If you think I'm kidding, if you think there's nothing to that, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. Believe me, okay? I would make sure if I found out that a witness who's testifying is younger and somebody says, well, I said, what do you know about her? What do you know about this woman? Well, know her personally. Well, she's from family, yeah. She had, her father divorced her. What? Her father divorced her family. She left the family. Really good. Okay, good. Let's get old man, whatever. You ask the questions. Why? Daddy. I want her to be looking at him, either deference, respect, or fear. If you don't think that, do you know what it would be like if you went to the South and you're interviewing, let's say, an older African American, say in their 70s, and you bring somebody like like John Kennedy who talks to you, and they're thinking to themselves, ooh, I've heard this before. I've heard this before. You don't think, if you don't know, you've got triggers, you've got something, there are other people say, for example, I know people say, don't you point at me. Something happened in your life. Everybody's got something. And there's different things on the stand. For example, when she was rolling around, I said, Ms. Willis, yeah, do you find this amusing? Objection. And the courts are very, very lenient with this. Well, what's wrong with that? You're not badgering anybody. Answer the question. Do you find this amusing? Are you taking this thing seriously? Oh. You're the district attorney. Are you running again for real? Have you announced? Are you, and why are you acting? Objection. No. This goes to bias of the witness, because if she's running again, she might be changing her particular testimony in order to. So anyway, I don't want to get too trial worthy, but there's ways to just drive people crazy. Remember, when you answer in a deposition versus your answer in trial, it's a different story. In any event, okay. Next, in no particular order, let's talk about Epstein. Speaking of Navalny, remember when somebody says, hey, did you hear what happened? Yeah, because they're making something. Yeah, Putin killed somebody. He did? What happened? Yeah, they found the opposition leader dead. You mean like Epstein? What? You mean like Epstein when they killed Epstein? They didn't kill Epstein. You think he committed suicide with petechial hemorrhaging? Did you know who this is? Because they know nothing about it. What about Gonzalo Lira? Who's that? This is what you need to say. You're gonna need to ask these questions about this, because they don't know anything about it. But they're going to be like this Ashley Earhart who goes, and that's why we should support Ukraine. You already got him. Well, he went to a bad prisons, Supermax. See, Americans don't know anything. Let me stop for a minute. I kind of work myself up, and for reasons that I don't even know what to tell you. My friends, remember the other day when we were talking about, did you follow the various protests that were going on around the world from farmers about the new World Economic Forum-esque types of limitations on nitrogen and certain things they could use to farm with? Did you follow any of that? Do you think that food is always going to be like, we got nothing to worry about? We got stockpiles. You know, when you walk into like a Costco, you think it's hard to believe that food would ever be. What if you can't get into Costco? What if they lock the doors? What if there's an inclement weather? What if there's a fire? What if there's a riot? What if there's strikes? What if? What if is my middle name. So listen carefully to this. Let's talk about a very serious subject, emergency food. That's right, emergency food. I know. At first blush, it's difficult for most people to think about something that they just take for granted ever reaching emergency status. We're used to stores always being open, deliveries always made, no supply chain disasters, no ransomware catastrophes, none of that stuff. Nothing shutting down our gas stations, right? No trucking strikes, no war, no protests from farmers, nothing catastrophic in terms of weather. Nope, that can't happen to us. And I understand it's a defense mechanism that we have, because the idea of ever not being able to eat or locate food is seemingly incomprehensible. Well, it's not. That's why it's time for you to go to my site, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com has the deal of deals for you. Now, take it as a starter set. You've been putting off emergency food for too long. Some people still have a thing about prepping as though preparing for emergency is foolish. Now, right now, you can save $60 on a 4-week emergency supply kit. This is unbelievable. 16 varieties with a 25-year shelf life, 2,000 calories a day in 2 beautifully modular buckets that weigh 38 pounds total. These are waterproof and they're perfectly stackable. 4 weeks, a month. Now, be honest, could you go a week without any trips to any store? I'm not talking about having stuff in your cabinet. I'm not talking about banana chips and jerky. I mean food, real food. So go right now to preparewithlionel.com right now, right this moment, preparewithlionel.com. preparewithlionel.com. You'll thank me. Trust me. You know, my friends, I don't even know where to continue with it, but I'm going to keep going. There's a story that it still goes back to the fact that I think we need to provide people with the rudiments of stuff. Let me give you an example. Have you heard the story that? Let me give you the exact story that Epstein victims are suing. Here we go. This is the read as follows: Jeffrey Epstein victims sue FBI alleged cover-up. Dozen victims of Jeffrey Epstein filed a lawsuit on Wednesday accusing the FBI of covering up its failure to investigate the late financier, enabling his sex trafficking to continue for more than 20 years. The victims, using Jane Doe pseudonyms, said the FBI received credible tips as early as 1996 that Epstein trafficked young women. And victims said the FBI began a probe in 2006, but ended it 2 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to a Florida. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me see if I can explain this to you. And let me see if we can put this into a perspective that I hope you will understand. And this is critical. The FBI is a part of the Department of Justice. Department of Justice is this huge umbrella. It's got probation and parole. It's got the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's got customs. It's got this. It's got DEA, ATF, FBI, Attorney General's Division, civil rights, civil. Okay, fine. The FBI is the national police. The FBI is the national police. The same way you have your police, it's their. Sometimes states have state police. The GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, is for Georgia. Florida has the FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. State police, New York State Police. That's city, county, whatever, and then state. But FBI is national. And despite what people say, the FBI, for the most part, are good people, for a very great part. Good people in different divisions, Omaha doing bank robberies and federal stuff. You're talking about the Ray and all these people and Merrick Garland. And don't throw the entire FBI out of the offing, so to speak, whatever that means, because they're really good people. They really are. The rank and file are terrific. You want somebody robbing a bank, violating some federal fishery statute, you want them to come in, okay? Now, what's critical is that they don't owe you anything. They don't work for you. They work for the plaintiff, for their client, which is the U.S. government. If you're indicted, the style of your indictment reads United States of America versus your name or the name of whoever it is. The United States of America is the client, not you. So if you're at a bank, some guy comes in and robs it, FBI decides, we'll file it, but the U.S. Attorney's Office doesn't do anything with it, or the FBI. You can't call them and say, hey, I was there. So what? If your family member was one of the victims of Sammy the Bull Gravano, you cannot go. How do we see this? If you, what's the word? If you are one of Sammy the Bull victims and you're upset, how did you not charge him? You can't say anything. If you're Epstein's family, see, why didn't you investigate? Well, we did. No, you didn't. You can't go to the federal government and tell them anything. Do you hear what I'm saying? You can't go and tell them anything. You can tell them, but it's not your case. You're not the victim. So you can go there and you could say, now listen, FBI, we told you about Epstein. And you didn't do anything. So we're going to sue you to do what? Well, you covered it up. We didn't cover it up. No, you didn't. No, we didn't. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Let me give you an example. Hypothetical, okay? Let me give you a hypothetical. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that somebody says, sit down, and I'm going to tell you something on the cone of silence, and it can't go any further. What I'm about to tell you is completely hypothetical, and I have no proof of this whatsoever. It could happen, but I don't have any independent proof. Epstein was a Mossad agent for Israeli security. Epstein was running a honeypot extortion group or whatever it is. You got that? Okay. He works kind of for us. We work together. You had Ehud Barak. He was involved in it. Epstein himself. A lot of other connections. Alan Dershowitz. Not saying he was involved, but he was Epstein's lawyer, and he was certainly very involved in Israeli government. It was almost like an emissary or a viceroy, if you will. Again, just there's a big connection right here. And we, actually, the federal government benefited sometimes from that. So we found that it might behoove us not to follow up on these charges because of the intel that we were given. Now, whether you like that or not is another story. If we can drop charges against Sammy the Bull, who allegedly was involved in 19 murders, we can do it with this. You have no say. You can sue all you want. We don't have to tell you anything. And if we do go to court, we're going to say, Your Honor, we can't repeat this because this is classified information and national security. We made a deal because we found out that there was a connection and that Israel was responsible than us in breaking up a terrorist ring and blah, blah, blah. We had to reciprocate. Whatever. I don't know. But you know and I know that rational minds would say that this was an extortion ring. This was Jeffrey Epstein was, talk about the useful idiot to use Hillary Clinton. He was the dupe. They got to this guy and they say, listen, they picked him out perfectly. We're going to give you untold wealth. You are going to be a, quote, hedge fund or financial. Do you know the number of people in New York who say, I know all the big shots. I know all the players. I know everybody. Ackman knows everybody from Pershing Square. They all know. It's a very close knit to be the really big, super duper players. Okay? Nobody knew who he was. He didn't even have a college degree. I think he was at Cooper. I don't know if he stopped or quit. He was at Dalton School. Bill Barr's father, who's not involved in this, got him involved in something. Why would Dalton School hire this guy? Doesn't even have any minimal. He's teaching physics and whatever. Okay, fine. Makes you wonder. It's kind of like, in a weird way, it's like that Claudine Gay. It's not that it was, it's not that he was involved in plagiarism, but you wonder, how did this guy ever get in there? Okay, fine. So there you go. This whole thing stunk from the get-go. And all these people said, who's Jeffrey Epstein? Where's it? You've got to file to be a hedge fund, whatever it is. You just don't set up your hedge fund. You've got to go through, certification and licensing and this, and nobody knew, and nobody asked anything, including the people who love to go to his dinner parties and love to go from members from the news industry who could have very easily investigated it. When you look back, this case stunk. So they got this guy Epstein. They promised him the world, and he was a perv and a skeeve. Which, by the way, 98% of everybody in Hollywood, and in certain aspects of finance. Remember the whole days of the Wolf of Wall Street, that predatory 80s crowd? They think they own everything with their, they're drinking Cristal and cocaine, and they're masters of the universe, and typical. They played this guy. He did everything, and nobody looked. Nobody. Had he been less useful? And remember, the real story is all of the recordings. There was a story about the FBI came back and they were gone. Do you know what I can do? Let's say I have George Soros or Carl Icahn or Bill Gates, hypothetically, I'm not saying this, but let's assume I did for the sake of argument, assuming arguendo versus an innuendo, which is an Italian suppository. But I digress. Can you imagine if I've got dirt on him and I say, excuse me, Billy, can we talk to you about this? About that financing? Have you seen this? What? Oh, yeah, we can not only do we have this, because we're not worried about selling the image. We're talking about perhaps criminal prosecution. Do you know what I can do if I can blackmail a billionaire? But not just any billionaire. And you're talking about weapon systems and this and that and money and crypto. And I mean, the more people, if you have everybody locked up, you can say, I've got everybody. Can you imagine if if the PLO or not PLO, if Palestinian Authority, if Abu Mazen had, let's assume, dirt on Bibi Netanyahu, underage, whatever. I'm not saying they did, but can you imagine if he did? This is the work. This is like, oh my God. This is all they want to do. That's why these fools, these idiots, one of the things they used to always say about Scientology, it was always suggested. And again, I don't know anything about them. I think they're a religion because I think, what's the difference between them and Lutheran? I don't know. You tell me. But they used to always say that they get these stars in. And part of their auditing, where they hold those metal poles or whatever those things are, is that you got to tell me all of your dirt. Rumor has it too during Skull and Bones initiations. Tell us something that we can use against you. This is critical stuff, leveraging. So when you have these people, if you have somebody, let's say I'm with, used to be William Morris, now it's Endeavor, now it's Creative, whatever it is. If I'm a big shot agent and I get the next Benjamin Cumberbatch or whatever his name is, and I sit down and say, let me explain something to you, okay? They're going to try to get you. They're going to hook you up with some teenager. They're going to hook you up with drugs and coke and this and that. And they want to own you. This has been going on since the days of Louis B. Mayer, since Pickfair, since, Douglas Fairbanks. Okay, you got that? So when you go to some hotel, if you're out and you're getting loaded and you're in some hotel room, they're wiring this. And if I'm the owner of a studio, and I've got pictures of you doing God knows what with a cactus, wearing Wellingtons with some 12-year-old, I own you. So when it comes time to you signing a 10 movie deal for next to nothing, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it because they own you. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm going to realize right away that they own you too. And I won't have anything to do with it because I'm not going to make money. Do you understand this? This is, you've got to understand it's dirt. It's intel. We have a word in this country, and I want to give you the word, and it's something which is very, very misleading. And the word is the most important intel there is, and it's called gossip. And gossip is a word which does not, which gets a lot of bad. Gossip is idle talk or rumor. I'm looking at this AI, especially about the personal private lives. Idle talk, rumor. It can also be defined as information about the behavior and personal lives of other people or information about the lives of famous people. Gossip is usually disapproving and can be unkind and not true. It can turn negative when it's used to tarnish someone's reputation or is based on unfounded rumors. Gossip can also result from a lack of information. For example, if there are rumors about the company laying off employees going around, every time someone hears the news, they might add their assumptions for it. Okay, let me explain something to you. Gossip moves the world. Gossip is intel. Gossip is critical. Gossip is the more information than anything you can imagine, more important. If you want to read, if you want to know where to get the real good dirt from, and dirt is truth. If it's not true, I don't care. But sometimes fake information can be good also, because if that's what people believe, then it's true. Remember the show. Remember the movie, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter. What is going on in reality? It depends upon intel. So when you go to a job and you go someplace, you listen to everything. Don't spread it. Absorb it. Learn it. Understand. This one's sleeping with this one. This one's a drunk. This one's this. This one's closeted. This one caught this one. This one's a lot. Know it. Know the landscape. Don't say it. Remember the Sicilian expression. If you can get in trouble for a little, think what happens if you say a lot. Keep your mouth shut. Never, ever, ever. When somebody tells you something, you always respond with interesting. That's it. That's not yes. It's not no. Well, especially whenever your boss gives you some stupid idea. Hey, I think it'd be great if you started an open segment with interesting. That's it. It's non-committal. Listen to what I'm saying very, very, very carefully. And by the way, sometimes it works differently. Because let me give you an example. You can only catch flack when you're over the target. Do you know when I knew something was false? You know what I knew what the lies were about the folks at MyPillow and Mike Lindell? When I heard the lies. And that did nothing but basically accelerate his worth by virtue of the rumors. Now, if you didn't know the rumors, if you didn't know the lies, I remember in terms of gossip, I don't think gossip matters true or not. You wouldn't be able to understand this. Still one of the best companies in America. And when it comes to doing what they do, very simple, luxuriation, pillows and slippers. Nobody's better than MyPillow, promo code Lionel. Listen. Well, it is time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, please listen. What are we talking about here? Down comforters, flannel sheets, Giza Dream bed sheets, MyPillow 2.0 sheets, slippers, percales, towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, name it. Literally name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. And they're monster sellers. Slippers. My slippers. That's right. Slip-ons, moccasins. Think about it. What do they do at MyPillow? They make things real soft and plush and comfy. How perfect. Now here's the link. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, or MyPillow.com /Solidus or Virgil /Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. And watch how fast Mike answers the phone. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply and absolutely the best. What we do here, my friends, is we work on information. We work on information and we work on how you process that information, that data. And to us here at the Nation of Lionel, we don't care whether the information is true or not. I don't care about it. I don't care about it. When I look at the impact of religion and faith in your life, I don't care whether there's true or not, whether there is a God or not a God. I don't care. It's the effect on you. If you are a compulsive, addicted gambler, it doesn't matter whether I share that. It's what affects you. I don't care. I'm not trying to judge your phobia, your predilections, your predispositions, your nothing, your propinquities. I don't care about that. I care about the reality. What do people think? What's the truth? And the truth hurts. The truth hurts. Let me give you an example of something. There is something right now that is going around here, and it works something like this. Let me give you an example. There is a house, people like Elise Stefanik and others hit pay dirt with this Harvard anti-Semitism thing. Okay. I tell this to people and they're shocked, but I try it again. There is nothing against anti-Semitism. There's no law against being anti-Semitic. I know that's absolutely insane to you, but it's true. There is nothing against being, you can be anti-Semitic, racist, Islamophobic, transphobic, whatever. You can think anything you want. You can also have the weirdest sexual ideations in the world. You can be a pedophile, an ephebophile, a hebephile, a chronophile, a gerontophile. You can be into frottage, urolagnia, undinism. You might enjoy zoophilia, bestiality in your mind. You may have fantasies about cannibalism. So long as you never objectify, connect those ideations with actual thought, you can think whatever you want. And what they're actually doing right now on Harvard campuses, they're actually telling people that you could be maybe either dismissed from your opinion or removed as a student if you exhibit behavior or ideology that we consider and deem to be problematic. So racism is bad. So if you write something that we say, you know what, this is not, we think what you're writing is racist. What if somebody were to write, you know, I think we've got it all wrong regarding slavery. You know, the whole slave thing. I think you got it all wrong. All right. Right. That's, you have veered against what? Yes, that's racism. No, it's not. Get out. What about you? I think there's narratives about the Nazi Holocaust that are wrong. You're out. What? Get out. No, this is established. That's it. I'm not too sure about the moon landing. You know, World War II, I don't think the United States really, wait a minute, hold it, COVID, ivermectin. You see where we're going with this? You see where we're going with this? Now, I don't think anybody really cares about this, but I spend my entire life dealing with people. I have one of my best friends. He sends me things all the time. He hates Trump. He spends his entire day. I love him as a friend. I kind of laugh at him. I always tell him you need help. There's a support group. But I don't mind him saying that. It doesn't matter. I don't care what he thinks. See, and we're living in a world right now. We're living in a world where things are absolutely disastrous. Here's the best news for last. Vanessa Williams, right? Save the best for last. All right. A great song, by the way. She was actually, remember her on Broadway? She was good with Cicely Tyson. Remember we saw him? And you know who sat to my right? Jonah Hill or whatever. He was like right to the right of me. Not that it matters. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Okay. Here is a story I want to share with you, which this morning, I leapt out of bed, leapt out of bed. It was so wonderful. Hang on. Where is this? This is about CNN. Oh, it was so good. Oh, yes. This is CNN warden, as I call him, Mark Thompson, is looking to fund his, quote, digital first transformation by slashing anchor salaries, currently overpriced at more than $50 million, as he seeks to remake the decrepit, failing cable network into a U.S. version of the BBC. This is media observers and former CNN executives warn. Thompson, the former head of BBC, and the New York Times said he wants to unleash a revolution at the 43-year-old news network. I will not spare the network's overpaid talent roster. Do you see what's happening here? Now, let me ask you, do you see what's happening here? Tell me what's happening here. Tell me what you see. Tell me. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what you see. Can you read between the lines? And by the way, I can't tell you a lot of, I never tell you things that I can't substantiate or put it this way. It's got to be mentioned other than some guy that I know but I know for a fact that how places are going. CNN is lying. No. They're but not all here. Okay. The BBC is a worse propaganda outlet than CNN. True. But what does this tell you right now as to what's going on involving the transformation of these? I see entertainment. Tell me I'm wrong. Entertainment, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, free, because some of the most entertaining things to me is truth. Let me tell you what's going on here. Certain things, there are ways that people come along and let me tell you something. This guy Thompson. Here's the problem with this. There are people who come along and you have two groups of people. People who are stuck in the past and people who only know the future or only know the present. And they know nothing about. For example, when I tell people, I said, do you understand how silly Tucker Carlson looks? Giggling like a little girl as he goes through a Russian supermarket with a basket and they shoot the bananas up from the. Do you understand that? And they look at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, because you're 12 years old. You have no frame of reference. Then there are other people who realize, excuse me, this is new. There's a kind of let me give you an example. Years ago, there was a thing called the cafeteria. Cafeteria was one of the greatest things. I thought they were great. And in Florida, we had this one called Morrison's Cafeteria. They had Piccadilly, but Morrison's was the greatest. And it was served by these retired Pullman, these black gentlemen, Pullman waiters, Pullman porters. They had white, crisp. I mean, they looked like they were performing at the Carnegie Hall. They were the quote waiters at a cafeteria who basically do nothing because they bring a tray. Anyway, I loved going through the line. Remember those metal trays, heavy trays? You slide around. I'll take the roast beef. Oh, look at that. You ever see the way they slice roast beef like these microtomes? Like, can you give me a piece? Can you give me a chunk? Anyway, this. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's a cafeteria compared to a buffet. What's the buffet? It's a cafeteria without the servers. It's just there. You pick it up. You got it? There's a Chinese bakery. What about that Chinese bakery that we went to? Oh man, this place. Oh, this is the worst. You will just. This is genius. You have all the stuff there, and you have a pair of tongs and maybe some. You take everything that's there. You take it. You open up your you have the tray. And you go up and you load up. I mean, it's a cafeteria meets a bakery. Okay. For some reason, cafeterias don't work. I don't know why they don't. They just don't. I don't know why they don't work. Okay. Buffets kind of do. Now, why is that? I don't know. Well, Mark Thompson doesn't understand this. Mark, the issue is not with digital. The issue is CNN. The issue is the connection of CNN. You need a new name. You need to, quote, blow it up. This is media talk for starting anew. You don't understand something, Mark. I think still the most interesting when he is on fire, the best is Alex Jones. His InfoWars, watch what he does and watch how he'll aggregate from other companies. It's the most incredible thing in the world. Watch that. You may not agree with that, but trust me. Now, there are younger people who don't know him, don't know whatever. To them, news means nothing. I know two people in their 30s who look at their phone and Facebook or whatever's on the news, whatever it is, they are not scrupulous in the least. They don't know. Well, this is just, no, it's just information. Whatever comes across their phone, that phone is golden. That's it. It's it. It's like if you're driving do you ever see where they have a light? You're speeding, you're going 40 miles an hour. Do you trust it? I don't know if I trust it, but that's what it says. See, Mark's living in the past. He thinks BBC and this, okay, that might be okay, but that's not futuristic. The news is going to be so not commodified, but it's going to be so generalized, where people who are not necessarily on a set people who are not necessarily someplace are going to get, like, take Tucker, irrespective of whether, because I think a lot of stuff he does is it's bold. It's just it's a joke. To me, it's okay, but it doesn't matter what I think. At least he's breaking away from this. That's the way to go. Let me tell you something right now. When it comes to, if you want to see all the Palestinian Israeli information, if you watch Fox News, this is for very slow kindergartners. Kindergartners, slow. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the most base gibberish. It's like short bus news. I'm sorry. I don't want to be cruel, but for people who know nothing and don't care whether it's true or not, they just are given a narrative. I promise you, I have seen some of the greatest stuff. You watch what Judge Napolitano is doing with Colonel McGregor, doing with Jeffrey Sachs, doing with the Duran and others, Halper, Aaron Monte, Max Blumenthal, Finkelstein, Amy Goodman, Abby Martin, people who may be talking about other particular areas of the news that you may not be thrilled with. They may not cater to your version of Trump, but this is the best news there is. It's exciting. It's thorough. It's new. It's a buffet meets a cafeteria meets fast food meets the Chinese bakery. It is so innovative and it is so cheap. It is so cheap. The problem is that it is not going to be advertiser friendly. You are not going to have somebody, CNN is not going to have somebody appear to be trashing Israel or trashing Zionism, though that's not what's happening, but it will be perceived as that. You will not want to hear people going against a particular narrative. You just will not, even though you're missing the truth. You are only going to get one particular side that is advertiser friendly, not American, but advertiser friendly. The worst part about commercial TV, commercial media, are the commercials. I'm going to leave it at that. I've hit you with far more information than you could possibly ever even remotely imagine. I've hit you with so much stuff right now. You are awash in this. You are absolutely unable to make your way through the various facts. You are deluged with this, and I understand this completely. I thank you nonetheless for this. Okay, I thank you nonetheless. I thank you. Oh, redacted, a good friend, Natalie Morris in Clayton, excellent. Mrs. L and I have been on there. I like the fact that they're daring to talk about different things. I dream of a chance where I can give people my idea of the 9/11 narrative, which people just will not let me say because they think that I'm saying something when in fact I'm not. Geoengineering, I have been vindicated on that. I will be vindicated regarding hydro-imperialism. I know that for a fact. And my views on the civil rights and the like, I know all of this. I know I'm right. I don't need them to tell me. Let me say something very, very quickly. Sparky joined us. Sparky says Tucker could have used a haircut, but I wonder if he was afraid to change his look, thinking it was part of the brand as far as marketing, like with Trump's or Liza Minnelli's hair. Liza Minnelli, good for you. You know what's interesting? You say that, Sparky, because first of all, I don't think he thought that much. No, because it looks like, ooh, you got a haircut for this? Did I warrant a haircut? I don't know. Ted Koppel had kind of sort of hair, but it was more coiffed. But we're kind of dating ourselves. Let me ask you something, Sparky. Let me reverse this. How are we to talk about Navalny? And for Ainsley Earhart and others at Fox to say this is Putin when nobody asked the question, why didn't somebody mention Gonzalo Lira? Why didn't, or maybe, for all I know, Tucker could have mentioned him. I don't think he did. But can you tell me why nobody cares about an American citizen who died like that? Why am I the only one who cares about that? Why am I the only one who cares about Gonzalo Lira? Why am I the only one who said that they killed Jeffrey Epstein in federal custody, federal bureau of prison, federal, the creme de la creme? And you worrying about this? Tucker, no. Have you ever seen? Well, I don't want to go into it. Let me just explain something to you. I know what's going on, and you know what's going on. And that scares the hell out of them. It scares them. And by the way, Sparko, same thing with you, dear friends. While I am appreciative of the fact that there is this Tucker resurgence of new news, he's not the. I want somebody who, if you want to really put it this way, there are some people who are so good. Pepe Escobar has a version of the world nobody has. You have to go elsewhere. Don't go to anybody in this country. And when it comes to Putin, again, I mentioned this yesterday. It's very, very simple. President Putin, yeah, what is your goal? What is your end? What is it? What do you want? When will you say, okay, that's it? Invasion over. Let's bring back. And by the way, are you in the country? You obviously didn't occupy the country. You can't without few people. What is it you're looking for? What is it right now? Tell the world. What is it? So that we know. So that when this condition happens, we're going to say, okay, now it's time for you to leave. Do we know this? I mean, I don't know. Do you have to? I mean, just ask him a question. Let me ask you something too. And by the way, this goes to Zigzag. It goes to Karabuluk. Oh, look at this. Pepe Escobar is very limited except for China. Oh, no way. Oh, no. Read the Cradle. He has one of the most comprehensive views of, I learned more, and it was referred to more about Ansar Allah and the Houthis in Yemen and whatever. Oh, China. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. This morning on InfoWars, for example, they had a thing where they refer to something from Reclaiming the Net, where they're doing biometrics to get into. They're getting into sports stadia and things like that. By the way, let me explain something to you. Very important. You got to understand something. When you eat something, the idea is balance. That's it. There's some stuff I think you should stay away from that provides absolutely no benefit and more harm than benefit. Okay? Remember, everything has a benefit to it. Cigarette smoking is calming. Cigarette smoking is vasoconstrictive. That may or may not be good. They may help in calming. It may do a lot of things. But I wouldn't recommend cigarette smoking. But they have some good things. News is kind of like that. You want something that's balanced. And what you have to do is, bias isn't a problem. That's not the problem. Bias sometimes tells you the framework because your bias is their truth. Just understand the way it works. Don't get committed to it too much. And trust no one. That's all. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Mr. Sparky, thank you, dear friend. Thank you for your time and your excellence per usual. And you have a wonderful day. Keep thinking, keep exploring, keep investigating, and keep demanding answers. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel. You all better be subscribed. Subscribe. I'm telling you right now, if you don't, you're going to miss it. Because there's some great stuff coming up that I throw in that people just say, wow. And thank you for your thoughtful comments and the like. See you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dead.